Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the final word. Everton 2, Chelsea 0. The Blues have gone and done it again. It's 3 in a week. It's 3 in a week. No goals conceded. We've beaten the richest two clubs in world football 5-0 in a couple of days on aggregate. Just one of them weeks that doesn't happen that often to Everton. But I can't get used to this feeling of winning. Jack, another good victory, another good afternoon at Goodison Park for Sean Dyche's men.
Yeah, it was a great win. Perfect way to top off, like you say, what was a great week as well. Keeping the clean sheets as well, which you just love to see. You said Pickford's now amongst the top clean sheet holders in the league as well. That's come from 3 in a week as well. And obviously he's been performing well. And everyone in the team's performed well. There's not been a single individual look at and go, he needs to step his game up, really. And, you know, there's been players who in the past have been looking at going, we need more from them. And we're getting more from them now. We've got more from them in the last few weeks. And it's just massive for the club, especially with the predicament they've been in with the point deduction, to have such a good week like that.
Pat, they've picked it up hugely since that United game, haven't they? Obviously, we were in good form going into the United game, ironically, and then we had the hammer blow of the 10 points. And then we come back to that game, and it was a big pressure game. It was the first one back after the points, and we conceded a worldie in the opening couple. But since that result, which was hugely disappointing that afternoon, they've done tremendously well, haven't they, to pick themselves right back up.
Yeah, and nothing much has changed, has it? Things have just kept on going the same way. Nothing, no rash decisions based on that one performance. And, you know, the manager said after that game that he thought it was actually a good performance. And there's been nothing's changed, and we've just kept on doing what we've been building to, and it's built up to these 3 games in a week. And yeah, you can see everyone's a little bit. The confidence is up, the tails are up. People like McNeil have started scoring goals, so his confidence is growing. And it's all just fell into place at the right time, which when you've got quick succession of games, that's important, isn't it? If you've got the confidence, can often work the other way, but it can propel you very quickly to where you want to be if you get it right. Yeah,
Everton don't generally have a great record of winning back-to-back home games in a short space of time. There's a lot of times we draw one of them, or we win one and we lose one, whatever. But we have done brilliantly with this week with winning those 2, and it is 9 wins in 12 now, Jack, and definitely on an upward trajectory. And we know with the points we'd be 10th and not that far off a European spot at the minute. But let's just see what happens with that. The manager made one change. I think it was a predictable change. Seamus Coleman had come back in the week and got that impact injury on his foot. We all kind of knew that, although it wasn't serious. He wasn't going to be available, I think, for the Chelsea game. Young went back to right back. And it was a case of who does he pick, James Garner, Amadou Onana. I think it was always going to be James Garner just because of the illness thing. Harrison went back wide, and that was the one change, really.
Yeah, it was the team selection I think we've come to expect as well. Obviously, Onana not starting, but he was coming back from muscle injury.
Yeah,
we know Dyche doesn't like to rush them back when they've had a knock. But it's a team selection we trust as well. It's clearly the players Dyche trusts. I think there's a group of about 13 or 14 players in this squad he really trusts. And I think generally they're all of quite a similar standard as well. It's just different options for different games with the midfielders. Really, and obviously Beto as well, and that's our core group now. And yeah, you'd like to have more bodies, but it's good that there's not a drop off if we lose a midfielder, because Garner Gay's been in the team and he's done really well. Didn't have his best game at the weekend, but that's why you have your options, isn't it? And we've got Beto, who we know is probably one of the better backup strikers we've had in a very long time. And then you've obviously got the wing players as well, but yeah, I think it was the right lineup from Dyche. Like I say, we all expected it. Obviously, we all want to see Patterson start in these games as well, but we actually got to see him quite early on into the game as well, and I thought he had a positive game, and we've got to keep this going now. Hopefully, keep everyone fit. We know the suspensions, the players potentially on suspensions as well, because they're on 4 yellow cards, but the more we can keep this team together, the more I think we'll continue to do well, because we have a core group of players that fit the manager's style and that the manager trusts.
Absolutely. It started a little bit flat, didn't it? It did feel like a 2 o'clock Sunday afternoon game, didn't it? And
after loads of Christmas nights out.
And obviously coming so quickly on the back of what was obviously a very good result against Newcastle and a good night at Goodison Park. Sometimes it is a little bit like that, isn't it, on the afternoon?
Both teams look tired, to be fair. I thought we looked tired in that first half, and I think, they looked, it catches up with you, doesn't it? It catches up with you, and they've made changes, though. That's the difference, I think. They've got obviously more players to play with. And yeah, 2 o'clock on a Sunday where everyone's feeling, you've had Thursday, and you're not going to get everybody up for it. It's not a, the weather's not great. It's just one of those days. Sometimes that happens in football, isn't it? And this is where people ask for, I suppose, the football to be at a certain tempo, or to get everything going. And you do get those games during the year, of course you do. It's just natural. And the first half was sort of a little bit like that. It was a little bit flat. There wasn't many sort of like flash points. There wasn't loads of opportunities. So there wasn't anything to get really the crowd going. It's probably one of those games where, as a fan, you probably fall into having a conversation with someone next year about nonsense, or someone, it might be someone even like, Thursday's game or whatever. So yeah, it was a little bit quiet, and it took a while for it to sort of come to life. Yeah.
I think Chelsea started better, to be fair. They got on the ball. Jordan Pickford made a good save early on, and then another one from Cole Palmer. We should be saving it. It was one for the cameras, but it was a save, from outside the penalty area. And we only really had a Jack Harrison acrobatic shot from the edge of the box, which sailed wide as well. And both teams kept getting into good areas, and then the final ball, I thought, was poor, or the defences, because sometimes you do have to just give credit to the defence. I think Everton, Jared Brantwaite had a good battle with Armando Broja in the first half, and thought Chelsea shackled Dominic Calvert-Lewin quite well as well. We got in a couple of times, and it was just Jack Harrison that did one just across, just in front of Dom, and we'd had one from McNeil which fizzed across the other side. We just couldn't quite find the final ball to create something worthwhile.
Yeah, it felt like both teams were missing that little 5% just to carry them over into a real goal-scoring opportunity. I did think the defenders on both teams played well. I thought, ironically, Chelsea actually had more control in the game once Reece James went off. Don't know if that was just a coincidence, but I found they got a lot more on the ball after that, and we had less chances. We struggled to make chances well. I thought Dom wasn't really in the game in the first half much. They've got 2 big athletic centre-backs, so it's always going to be hard for Dom. He does a lot of his work in the air. They've got 2 big presences on him, so it's going to be difficult for him to get in. And then McNeil and Harrison as well, both very hard workers, but it's tough for them on their own to just force that moment of difference.
Yeah.
And it always felt like a game where the first goal was going to come later on. And I think after that first little flurry in the first 20 minutes or so of that first half, you started to get the feeling, no, this is going to be 0-0 at half time.
But we lost Ashley Young midway through the first half. Nathan Patterson come on, and Mudryk had a couple of little runs at Young, and I've said another thing. I thought we might be in for a little bit of a hard time here, but Young went off and Patterson come on, and you know what, I thought he come on and did really well. I thought he settled in quite quickly, and in general I thought he did quite well. I
think they probably pinpointed that right back position, or certainly the right hand side. I thought we struggled on the right hand side, our right hand side defensively in the first half, because Jack Harrison was coming across a lot and moving centrally, and they're pretty rapid on that side, and the danger signs were there, but they never really did anything. A lot of the time the crosses were getting overhit, and also they were going on the outside rather than the inside, which I think if they'd been coming inside a little bit more, could have been a bit more dangerous. But we dealt with it, because once they put crosses into the box, we deal with that quite well. Yeah. And they didn't really have that presence, but it was looking dangerous. Obviously, Ashley went off. You don't want to see anyone get injured. Whether we can debate all we want about who we want in a certain position, but we don't need players injured.
No, we need the whole.
Ashley Young showed how is important to the squad on Thursday night, playing at right midfield. Thought he had an excellent game, so we don't want to see anyone get injured. But Patterson came on, and using 3 right backs in 2 games is it just shows you sometimes when people talk about, I heard people saying to us last week, maybe we need to put him on loan and stuff like that, and you see how quickly things can change in football. So. He did all right. A couple of moments. I think it's the same things with Patterson. sometimes his positional play can cost them. I noticed in the second half, Mathew was just doing a couple of just body movements to move him out the way. There was a couple of times, but there are things he's naturally just going to learn. You know, did the wing, some other fella who's, they paid, about 85 million quid for or whatever it was. Something who's gone for a lot of money. And Patterson's going to have to learn. We know that. The manager's not using them. And I think there'll become a time when he will start using them. But he still has to learn those things. He's not like, he's going to get better, but he's still, when he plays, you're going to see little moments where he does get caught. But he does give us a lot of energy. And you know, sooner or later, he will get his chance.
Because I thought in the first half he got into a couple of really good areas on that right-hand side. Just the final ball wasn't... He put one good ball in, which was the cross. Sometimes he hesitates. I think Dom would benefit more if he just put it in early so that he can get in. And I think that's something that hopefully we'll see them work on with him, because we've seen it with Mykolenko on the other side, who Jack is playing very, very well at the moment as well, isn't he?
He's been brilliant as of late, you know, not just the last week. It's really shown in the last week, but I actually think he's been playing to a very good standard for a while now, and, you know, you can see in his shoulders he's clearly bulked up. But again, I think the main thing is confidence as well, because we're also seeing him creep further up the pitch as well, and okay, similar to Patterson, he maybe doesn't have the ability to put great balls into the box, but it just gives us an option on the ball and just makes us that a little bit less predictable and means we can do things with a little bit more conviction because it's not so bang on. But defensively as well, he's been a monster. No one's had the better of him in recent weeks, and he's been up against some real talents coming down our left-hand side as well. And I'm really happy for him, to be honest, because me personally, like a lot of people, have not really rated him. Thought that's an area where we might need to improve. Early days, but if he continues like this, that left back spot's his and his alone.
We'd still need another left back. We do only have one, but yeah, he is being brilliant, Ped.
It's interesting he's come out and said that he's been injured for 18 months. That's a really interesting thing. Or he was injured for 18 months with a hip injury. That's I suppose that's the side of things you never hear of. You know, you can't put into consideration why someone might be playing well if obviously all the information isn't out there. And maybe now that he's over that, maybe going out injured has allowed him to get over that injury as well, give him the time, because the squad was so stretched, and you know, he came in for another left back and we just didn't have another left back. No. And maybe again that's part of the thinking of why they brought Ashley Young in, is to have that cover, to maybe, again, we've seen what Dyche has done for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, giving him time. Maybe he wanted to give similar time to Mykolenko to get him right, because maybe, you know, he hasn't been able to do gym work to build himself up to get stronger as a player if he's got that nagging injury all the time, and maybe he's had a lot of downtime because of that. It's all those things that you don't always factor in, do you, when you're talking about players? You don't know what's going on behind the scenes all the time. So it's interesting that that's come out, but I think he just looks self-assured now. And that self-assurance is obviously, you don't have to worry about that side of your game, where if you're constantly worrying about whether you're good enough, the other side of your game will start developing now, doing more and more, going forward. If you're not worrying about what's happening defensively, then you're going to start getting more confidence in going forward. I think you can see that now. He's a lot less rash when it comes to making decisions defensively. He sticks to what he's going to do, and generally it comes out the right way for us.
Yeah, I thought he was brilliant yesterday. We ran in at half time, 0-0. They'd had just cleared the Cole Palmer incident up for us. He went down in the box, he got booked. I've looked at it again. I don't understand why he throws a leg out at Mykolenko. It's weird. And then, I think we were saying before, it's almost like he realises that was an awful dive, so he just gets up and carries on as if to go. I didn't even claim for it, ref, but it was a strange action, wasn't it? Because I'll be honest, when he went down and the ref blew the whistle, I thought it was a penalty, because it was just over. Because I see Mykolenko take that heavy touch, the same heavy touch that Tarkowski took the other night, and Gordon took it off him in the box. But my heart was in my mouth, I must admit.
Well, yeah, seeing it, it's like, he gave away the foul, but then, like I see, he books Palmer. What's going on there? I swear Mykolenko smashed him. And then you watch it back, and he actually makes no contact with him, and you see Palmer flick the leg out towards Mykolenko. He got up straight away and did an appeal for it, which is why also didn't think he was
an odd
booking
one,
Palmer. It was a strange one. I think it's always refreshing to see a player actually get booked for diving, because we don't see it often enough for how many players dive in the Premier League. But yeah, the weird circumstances where it was a little bit heart in mouth, because obviously yourself in the ground and then on the TV angle as well, you couldn't see that Mykolenko hadn't made contact.
It was just, I mean, I've seen it again. I don't understand what it's weird, because like you say, he doesn't like roll and spin as if like he's clattered me.
I find it a very, I do find it strange. I just don't know. People, I mean, listen, the player will only ever know himself what he's tried to do. I'll give the player the benefit of the doubt. I mean, obviously Mykolenko doesn't touch him.
No.
But can a player fall over and get up that quickly in almost like the same movements?
It's just weird.
Like if I was you're gonna dive, you dive and you make the most of it's the wrong thing, but can you make that split second judgment that you know you're not gonna get it, or there wasn't contact? I don't know is the answer.
It's
really.
weird, wasn't it?
I do find I don't know. Maybe the referee could have took it. I know it's the other side. I just think it's a weird one in general, that wasn't it? But
strange.
Yeah.
We had seen Idrissa Gana Gueye get booked, and he jumped in. He come out with the ball, but he did kind of jump into the tackle, so the referees booked him. I think the frustration amongst Evertonians was Conor Gallagher had done 2 or 3 by that stage and hadn't got booked, blatantly pulling people back and leaving his foot in and stuff, and that was a weird one with Michael Oliver. But that meant Idrissa Gueye's performance meant he couldn't really go near. He just spent the rest of the half trying to press without leaving anything on them. And I don't think James Garner had a particularly good first half either, which we got to half time. It was 0-0. The manager decided to bring Amadou Onana on. And I thought Amadou Onana coming on really helped Everton step it up second half. And it was evident in how good James Garner's performance was in the second half as well.
Yeah, well, they complement each other really well, don't they? Because I think Onana's more of a natural 6.
Yeah, and he's calm, isn't he, on the ball?
Than either of them, whereas when it's Garner and Gueye, the responsibility sort of split between the two of them. It's who stays, who goes. But obviously Gueye wants to go out and press as well, where Onana was a bit more comfortable sitting and putting them big tackles in. And, you know, Gueye is quite good if he gets a book and not making another foul after that. But the way it was and how frantic the midfield battle was, we knew we were going to need another big tackle in the middle and have an Onana to come on. And credit to Dyche as well for making the sub early when we needed it. That's something he's been bemoaned for, not making subs early enough, and I think he made the right call bringing Onana on at half-time.
It felt pet, didn't it, in that where Onana just gave us a little bit of calm. Yeah. I mean, there was a few where they were passing it out and he was getting it, and you're thinking, oh my God, because we're not great at doing that at times, but he does it well.
We just couldn't tackle. Just no one could put a tackle in.
And they're strong in the midfield.
And they were, and it was so evident how many times he literally just had to sort of put his hands up and say, I can't do anything here, you know. So it was a good move by the manager, and it was good that Onana came on and straight away wanted the ball, give me a feel of the ball, get me into the game straight away. Because obviously the manager's got to look at it and think as well, Onana's got to play Sheffield United. Burnley next week now. He's got to play Burnley next week because obviously it's just going to get suspended. So let's get him in there. Let's give him half a game. Get him on the ball. Get him and James Garner synced again. And I thought that was really good. And yeah, James Garner's performance levels went up massively in the second half. Just like closing down passing lanes. I thought was, you know, I was looking at his heat map yesterday in the areas he were in. You were just like, all he was doing, especially when they had a lot of the ball when we were 1-0 up, was just stopping runs and stopping passing lanes and stuff like that. Things that you don't like. I was saying yesterday on player ratings, I don't know what the metrics are. I'm sure there are metrics out there for that kind of stuff. I don't know what they are, but he was doing a lot of that work and then he was getting on the ball. So, yeah, they complement each other, and Onana is such a strong presence as well. And he wants the ball and he simplifies it and he gives it and gets it back, and he wants it off the centre-back. And he always gives Pickford an out ball as well.
Always. And that gave us the options, obviously. It made us stronger. It felt more assured when he was on the pitch. And we got the goal 9 minutes into the second half. And we're just going to have a look at it now, going to bring it up. And it starts with a Chelsea move breaking down. Good play from Everton, and it's with Mykolenko, and he just feeds it out. McNeil picks
We've got a
it
lot
up.
better at this, haven't we? A lot better at like just being calm at the back.
Yeah, definitely. Rather than just smashing it, feeding it out, and then got the arrow where we want McNeil to drive. And sometimes he doesn't do this, but when he does it really well. We take it on one, and this is actually a brilliant decision by Michael Oliver. Yes, that's me complimenting the referee, because he could easily give a foul here because Gallagher's all over McNeil. But McNeil does brilliantly because he steps across him and just throws the arm back, shoves it off, and we take it on again. And that's the area where he needs to drive with the ball into that space. You can see Doucouré circled over on the right-hand side. We take it on again, and that's the ball he's going to look to play Dom, just in behind the centre-back. It's a great ball. Going to try and curl it in. He plays it in. Dom comes sliding in. It's brave, actually. Keeper makes a save. He gets clattered by Sanchez. It comes out on the next one. Now, Doucouré's got two options. If he goes near post, which would be natural, Sanchez is guessing that and diving that way. Yeah. But Doucouré hits it back where he came from. Very much like his goal against Newcastle the other night, back where the keeper's coming from. And he drives it into that corner of the net. And there he is, giving it the Al mentality celebration. But if you just want to take it on one more, just to this one, because look at the pass by McNeil. Now, the ball's already left, and this went to VAR for a bit of time.
I did think it was close.
And it was, but when you look here, Dom's even onside there, but the ball's left. Well left the foot of Dwight McNeil, but it's such a brilliantly weighted pass, Ped, isn't it? For into Dom, and great by Doucouré.
Great run, and it's a good run by Dominic Calvert-Lewin as well. People don't often praise him for this. Dwight McNeil scored on Thursday night because Dom makes a great run. It's not always how we look at centre forwards. We're always looking at the goals and the assists or whatever else, but you can't always. Again, making a great run. It's a good ball.
I thought he should have
just lost his feet. Did he lose his foot?
But he lost his foot, and that's a stretch for it. And in the end, it's a good save, to be fair, and he's brave, because at the match, you're thinking, you see him one-on-one, you think goal, and he misses it. But when you see it back, his foot does slip, and he's stretching. But it's a brilliant ball, Jack, by McNeil. And Doucouré does great for following it up and smashing it home, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. And like you say, he put it in the exact right place. But it starts with Michalenko just getting his head up straight away. And look, when you're a team that doesn't have a lot of the ball, that's what you need to be good at, getting the ball up the pitch fast. Head up, pass down the line. It's a good out ball to McNeil, and he does the right thing. Takes himself out of his comfort zone a little bit by actually cutting inside, having to use his right foot a bit. Does really well to shrug Gallagher off me, even though he's trying to take his shirt. And then, the ball's just great, and he continues to perform. McNeil, that's 3 good games in a row where he's either scored or massively contributed to a goal. But like Ped said, it's the run by Dom as well that facilitates it, and that's what we always say about Dom. Again, he didn't have a great game, but it's what he does off the ball that just makes him so valuable to this team. And I'm not saying this to criticise Beto, obviously, but that's something he doesn't do as well. He has different strengths. But the way we play, we really benefit from Dom making those runs and, splitting the defence, taking someone with him. And his off-the-ball play is really good, and that's something he was really good at earlier in his career as well, before he became more of a penalty box striker.
But this is what we're hoping Beto will learn. Obviously, he's coming in from Italy, and he was probably able to use his physicality a little bit easier in Italy, because it's not really as rough and tumble as what the Premier League is. But he's using it well here, and now can we take the edges off him and get him using those bend and runs to get in? Because if he can, then that's another weapon for us. We know we can play down the channel to him. But Ped, just going back there, Doucouré stays alive in that move. He doesn't kind of go, Dom's one-on-one. He makes sure he's in the box, and he ends up scoring. It's his 11th goal in 31 games since Dyche became the manager, which is an incredible return.
It's a brilliant finish, because, he could have tried different things. He could have took a touch, but the fact that he hits it first time and just puts it back into that corner when there's so much traffic in there,
confidence.
It's a brilliant finish, absolutely brilliant finish. But just going back to what Jack was saying about Dom as well, that's nearly an hour into the game where Dom's had a tough battle against 2 centre-backs where he hasn't got any change out of them. Let's be honest, he didn't. The long ball wasn't working.
No.
We were going long far too often. And
even when he won it, though, no one was near him.
It wasn't working. No. It just wasn't working. So to change that up and make a run like that, and then to score from it, shows the versatility of having him as a centre forward. I still hear people being critical. I'm just thinking, have we not learned anything from the last 2 seasons of what kind of team we were without Dominic Calvert-Lewin?
He'll have days, right, when it isn't going well. He's not Harry Kane, is he?
No.
Not that kind of striker. He's a great target man, but he isn't, like you said, because he was a midfielder for a lot of. Don't forget, when Everton bought him, he was a midfielder playing between either playing in midfield or up front for Sheffield United. He was just going between. He'd been on loan at Staley, at Celtic and all that. They were trying to use him more, so he's young into that role, and that's what we have seen. He makes some great runs. He's just not always clinical enough. That's been his issue. But then we don't give him 3 or 4 of those opportunities to get better at it. But when he's in the team, Everton are a different team altogether, because he is great. Hold-up plays fantastic. We saw one just before the goal, actually, where he chases a ball down the line, holds it up brilliantly, lays it back, and we work it to McNeil, and Sanchez makes a great save from McNeil with the left foot at 0-0. It's a really, really good save. But that's what he's got, that hold-up play, and that you see when Beto comes on, he's just not as refined as Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Well, Beto's the direct option, isn't he? He's chaos. He wants to run with the ball, and he doesn't know what he's going to do. So the centre-backs definitely don't. Whereas, you know, Dom is switched on. He's always thinking about the next pass when he receives the ball. If it's not a shooting opportunity, that's something I think is really evident about his play. And yeah, you mentioned the hold-up play. Well, for me, it's the running. You know, I'd take it back to last season against Brighton. He didn't score in that the 5-goal win.
No, but he was
But he played a hand in at least 3 of the goals. And he has moments like that in pretty much every game he plays for Everton. They don't always materialise into goals because maybe someone else doesn't take their chance. But what he gives us is just such a massive thing for a club in our position to have.
If Dom doesn't make that run, we don't score. It's as simple as that. He might make a run, and Dwight McNeil might run into the space that he's just left. But it's centre forwards can't stay still, and they have to always be looking for the advantage. And that's you know, in that position we've had centre forwards who will drop off there and ask Dwight McNeil for the ball and stuff like that. But that's almost at times that's what a defender wants you to do. They want you to drop in, because of course the closer you go towards your own goal and away from the other goal, it makes it easier. Their job's easier. They can get set, they can get players back, and it just gives us that a way of being direct. And we've seen that in Dwight McNeil's goal and this one. A player running with the ball, him making a run, and it ends up ultimately being a goal.
I was just looking, he won 44% of his aerial duels, won 40% of his ground duels. We still had 68% passing accuracy, which is very good for a centre forward to have that, because, you know, quite often you're competing and you're battling, so therefore things that are coming off you, or you can be a little bit loose with your passing. He was excellent. Obviously a huge moment, like I just said, Doucouré being an incredible goal-scoring form for Dyche and playing in that split striker role. He is kind of turning into a Tim Cahill of this team, isn't he? And when you've got someone playing in that role who can do that, we saw him against Newcastle playing further back in a like not a defensive midfield role, but more of like
a strange,
you know, an 8, kind of like an 8 role against them, and then to go back into that position yesterday and he come up with a goal in both games just shows you he's key, isn't he, to what Sean Dyche is trying to do. Yeah,
and just what a reliable source of goals as well, you know, averaging about 1 in 3, slightly better now, actually.
Yeah.
Under Dyche is great for a midfielder at any level. But when you look at Everton, you know, in a relegation fight again, unfortunately, not results-wise, but league table-wise, we have got to fight for these points, and having that source of goals is massive for us. You know, you'd be happy with that from your striker. So Doucouré coming up with goals like that, and then, especially away from home as well, where he'll give you more off the ball, when he will drop into the midfield more and break things up.
What was mad about him was he didn't win a single ground duel out of 6. He only won 1 aerial duel, 33%. He didn't win a tackle. He had 3 interceptions and 5 ball recoveries. But that just shows you, doesn't it? It just shows you that all. It
shows you how his roles changed in the team.
67% passing accuracy, but it didn't matter because he'd done all of that other running. He put tackles in. Oh, sorry, not putting, but pressing people really well. But when it's come up with that moment in a game, he's the one that's come up big and put us in front. And I always felt if we could get in front, it'd give us the basis then to send it. And obviously it was a goal on the counter-attack as well, something which, you know, Sean Dyche is key to build on, because that's a lot of times how we play. We did have to They obviously made changes, and they've got an embarrassment of riches to bring on, haven't they? And they brought on Raheem Sterling, who's been in really good form for them. They brought Nicholas Jackson on, and people like this who we knew were going to put us back and test us a little bit more, didn't they? They put Mathew on late on, and they tried to really come at us, didn't they, and force us onto the back foot. But you know what? In general, they had the Cole Palmer free kick, which Jarrod Brantwaite got booked and will miss the Burnley game for. Broyo went down. Pickford done really well, read it well. It went under the wall and he made a good save. Other than that, Pickford did have a couple of saves to make, but they were straight at him, ones you'd expect. I thought Everton defended quite well, really. And Chelsea did at the other end as well, to be fair. They cut us down from doing stuff. But I thought we did sit in and defend in a word. I think it was Ped used it before. We just look a lot calmer when we're defending, and we did yesterday, I felt.
You could see that in the players as well. I think you yourself as a fan, you view it differently because you see a team move into dangerous positions and you think, oh no, they're not going to get something here, are they? But the players themselves look really calm. Mykolenko had to think about 3 different situations in the space of a few minutes where, you know, we just either had to guide it out or just keep it in and deal with stuff where, you know, he's got fresh legs running at him because they've brought a lot of pace off the bench, like you say, Sterling and Jackson. He just needed to be calm. Mykolenko, all of them did, but they're going down that right-hand side, a lot of their right-hand sides. Mykolenko had a lot to deal with, but he just dealt with it all so calmly. Then you have Brantwaite and Tarkowski winning every header as well, and just the attitude amongst the players when we're winning these battles and, you know, getting the ball out, you're up, like, celebrating with each other, and you could tell this team loves to defend, and I don't mind that. You know, take pride in your defending as well, because that's literally half the battle. It doesn't matter how many you score if you concede them more than you score. Yeah. And, you know, that's shown in the 3 clean sheets in 3 games as well.
Ped, I mean, sitting there at 1-0, you're obviously nervous because you're winning and you're thinking, if we could get over the line and this would be a huge, it'd shape almost what we're trying to do moving forward. But it was relatively, the fans were, obviously the roof came off when we scored and then the fans really did pick it up. But there does seem to be a bit more of a calmness around Goodison now, doesn't there? And Sean Dyche deserves huge credit for that because that's what he's instilled. And I think the fans are buying into it, that it didn't seem fraught, the game, even though they did get a couple of overloads with Sterling a couple of times. I thought we defended it really well.
The evidence is there now, isn't it? The evidence is there that we can defend, that we are a good unit. You know, we trust the players. We trust the players in the back four. I don't think there's any reason to. The evidence is all there, isn't it? There's no reason. We deal with set pieces quite well. Yeah. Got a goalkeeper in good form, or just general form. So I don't think there's any reason to naturally feel nervous because yes, they had loads of the ball, but we've seen that loads of times this season. Opposition. We shouldn't get worried that we don't have a lot of the ball. They passed and passed and passed and passed. But did they really create anything of note second half where you're really like, oh my God, you know what I mean? It was all done in areas where we as fans, we're just used to that now, and we've got over I think a situation where the home record was, you know, it's looking a lot better now. You know, three wins and 5 is it now, and a draw and a defeat to Manchester United. So it's looking a lot better, and I think everything's just settled down. Everything sort of what was going on within the club has all settled down. Manager, the players, even to a point where, you know, there wasn't like a big mass demonstration on Sunday about you know, yesterday about it's still there about the 10 points, but we're not making it as a fan base. We're not going.
It's not took over.
Yeah, it hasn't took over. We're now saying, well, it's on the team and the manager, and because the manager's basically like parked that, and as a fan base, we're still there, and we've still got our banners and stuff, but we're not going to keep going on about it all the time, which I think is definitely the right approach so that emotion doesn't boil over. And I think that's what you've seen there, and nervy moments, because you haven't got the ball. No. When you haven't got the ball, you feel like, oh my God. And it's the other side of it. Like, at half time, Luton are winning. You know, you're thinking, oh, I'll take a point. I might take a point here because the players look a little bit.
Someone asked me that at half time. Would you take a point now? I was like, no, this is here for the three.
But you're looking at it from a sensible point of view. Going, actually, we look a little bit tired. And actually, they did put all the hard work on Thursday night. And actually, if someone had asked me for 4 points out of these 2 games, I would have took them. Do you put you're making
you're trying to reconcile
you're reconciling all those things.
Yeah.
Chelsea at home, Newcastle at home. Yeah, I'd have took 4 points out of that. And there's all those things, and I suppose it's learning to want a bit more, or feel like you can get a bit more, and that's it's an unusual position to have been in the last couple of years, and it doesn't. It's like the end of Scrooge. It feels good. I haven't felt this good for a long time.
I'll be honest. I wanted more at that time. Like I said, I got asked that walking back to my seat, and they were like, would you take your point now? I was like, no, because this is here. Like, these, don't get me wrong, they've got some tremendous footballers. Chelsea spent 1.1 billion. They should have a lot of the ball and be comfortable, and they were. But they're not a great team at the moment. That you can see the cracks and you could see the opportunity. And I just think when you are dealt what we've been dealt with, and we've had what we've had over the last couple of years, that these moments arrive. And some clubs take them and run with them, and others let it slip. And we've been a team that has let things slip through our grasp in the last few years. Even at whatever time we were at, under Carlo, we were flying for Europe, and we just hit the buffers and let everything slip through our fingers and ended up nowhere near it. And then at times with the relegation battles, we've had opportunities to just go, it's done. You know, and we wasted it, and we've had that. Whereas yesterday I was just thinking, this is one of those moments where you have got a huge opportunity to take 9 points in a week. They're not playing great. We weren't hanging on by any stretch. And I think if we can get in front, we'll be all right. And when we were in front, you do start edging. And it's mad because I actually thought we'd scored. The other night against Newcastle, I thought we'd scored earlier. No, in the game, and I thought we'd scored in like the 60s minute, like 68 minutes or something. It was 79. And yesterday, I thought we'd scored in like the 65th minute, it was the 54. Because it was just the way the game was. But when I was sat there, I wasn't on the edge of my seat thinking, oh my God, how are we hanging on? Because they didn't really get into those moments. Jackson had one where he got in and he shanked it, didn't he? And put it high and wide. Other than that, like I said, Sterling got in and Jimmy Garner tracked him and slid in and just cut it off. There was nothing because we defended, and we are defending really well. Everybody seems to know what they're doing. Again, further testimony to the management team because they've got them like that, and the players have ran with it brilliantly. But you still know that board's going to come up with 6 or 7 minutes. Well, to be honest, everyone's going to be 8, won't it? At least it'll at least be 8 or 9. You're like, probably will. So when he put 7 up,
I said 7.
I actually went, I'm all right with that. Like, I'm not, you know, but I thought it was going to be bigger. But going into that, we didn't just settle, did we? Because he took Dominic Calvert-Lewin off a bit earlier. He put better on. Jack Harrison was running on fumes, wasn't he? He just looked destroyed, and he kept trying to give Chelsea a counter-attack by kicking the ball to them. And I guess, Jack, the fact he went Lewis Dobbin, not Arnott Danjuma, do we read anything into that?
It's telling, isn't it? And to be honest, I understand why he didn't bring Danjuma on, because I don't think you can trust him to work hard enough in that side, in that setup.
Have we seen enough of Dobbin to say that we could, though?
No, we haven't, but we know he's a young lad who wants to break into this team. He's not a player on loan who, either way, going back to Spain in the summer on his big wages. He has to fight for his place, and not just in Everton, but his place in football.
Absolutely.
These next couple of years are going to be massive in what he goes on to do in his career and what level he plays at. So first and foremost, he has to get into this team. He knows he's got to work hard to do that. So I understand why you trusted him in that scenario over Danjuma, because things didn't really need to change. We weren't looking for a system change. We were replacing legs that needed replacing, because Harrison, like I say, he was done.
That's a really good point, though, what Jack's just said, because it's funny. I was actually having this conversation. I don't know if I mentioned it to you on Friday, saying like the most disappointing part, if you take, I think we were talking about this, wasn't we? Most disappointing part of Machiri's thing is like there's no kids getting into this team. Why? I know Branthwaite's in, but Branthwaite was bought, and There's no kids that have come through Everton's academy that should be part of the squad and should be in the team or in around the team. So for the next game, for Dobbin to come off the bench, and if you have got 2 players, and one is a player that I imagine last few weeks, Sean Dyche has probably took aside and saying, listen, I'm going to give you more under-21s game, go and play. And they're not just normal under-21s game, he's playing in the Premier League tournament where you're playing European teams. Going to play you in these games, going to give you, he played, did he play in the under-21s?
Played in the DFL Trophy as well, didn't he? And he played against Athletic, didn't he?
So he's playing in bigger games, and he's probably said to him, you'll get an opportunity coming up. If you've got him and Dan Dewman, it's like, who do you really want that opportunity to happen to? You know, the young lad who's come through his ranks, who's waiting for an opportunity, being on loan, or someone who...
But he scored last week in a 20-on 5-0 with goal. He scored in that,
he did. Yeah, I'm saying it. You know, he's been prepared to dig in, playing, you know, a game at Finch Farm, pissing down rain, conditions were terrible. He's been prepared to dig in and go and play in those games for the extra little bit. Who do you want? Do you want him playing, coming on, going... I want this, I want to play for this team. Or the guy next to me doesn't really seem that arsed that he's on the bench every week. Do you know what I mean? I know a lot of people go, oh, he celebrates with everyone at the end. It's like, actually, now and again, I'd like him to look a little bit pissed off that he doesn't get a game. I love all the team spirit. I love he's celebrating. I love that other people are doing his celebrations. But now and again, I'd actually like him to look a bit pissed off, knocking on the door on a Monday morning going, why aren't I getting an opportunity?
Isn't it sad in a way that he should be an option who you're looking to for 20 minutes, going, he's going to come on and take this game away. And then, again, I was saying to Andy, who sits next to me, he was like, Dan Dewman should be an option, but I wouldn't put him on.
He's not
and I'm looking, thinking, look, who's coming on for Harrison? I've seen Dobbin, because he had Dobbin stood up for about 8 minutes for it. In fact, Chelsea weren't even making the sub and made a double change before Dobbin got on. But what I thought when Dobbin come on, I thought we were going to knock a few into the corner for him to run after. He didn't. He just went and sat in front of Patterson.
Most of his heat brilliant. Most of his heat maps in front of Patterson.
He just sat and protected. And again, I thought that was really good, because I remember, and I'm not saying he's going to do what Anthony Gordon did, because it's not, but I remember being really impressed with Anthony Gordon against Norwich City. He came on under Benitez with about 25 minutes left, and he just done it. He just sat and protected the fullback for the game, and I was thinking, that's a kid who's listened. And I remember Benitez played him then at Old Trafford a week later. He just done a job. He didn't come on and, this is about me, I'm going to pick the ball up and just run at people. He was like, doing this for the team, and I'm doing my job. And Dobbin did that yesterday. Come on, and obviously they said to him, sit there in front of us, don't let Mathew get beyond you, make sure that you're picking up, you know, everybody else who you need to. I thought he did that well. And then Everton, that enabled us to get a couple of counter-attacks then coming forward, where Chelsea had a lot of the ball. And obviously we have that one, James Garner, great 50-50 on the edge of the box and gets in and the cross is blocked. And then we go and get a corner, and that's obviously the moment when I'm sat in my seat going, please just score off a corner.
Just
please.
get a goal.
Get a decent one. And we're going to see it here. And Dwight McNeil, again, he was obviously instrumental in the first goal, is standing on their keeper who came on. Jimmy Garner puts the corner in, McNeil just competes with it, but his arms are down so it won't be a foul. Keeper punches it. Me that one just a little bit earlier, where Michalenko swung at it with his right foot and it nearly hit the TV thing. Yeah. But I've got Dobbin circled on the edge of the box, so he's trying to stay alive here. We take it on. The keeper's punched it. Dobbin's anticipating it, and you're thinking...
Look at McNeil is there,
McNeil's just laying, doing the full Sigurdsson against United a few years ago. Take it on one for us, Ned. And that's where it's got to go. There's just too many players the other side, and Dobbin just makes sure he keeps it low, strikes it, and obviously the ball ends up in the back of the net. Now, he's got a decision here. He done almost Seamus Coleman at Old Trafford under Oviedo. He didn't know what to do when it went in. He's thinking, I'm going to the left, but there's Chelsea fans. And he does a lovely little arc back. Great run, great intelligence. XG of that run is brilliant. We take it on, and obviously he's sliding.
Well, it's XS, isn't it? It's expected slide.
Yeah, expected slide there is high. It's one. And then you can see there's like Patterson there.
Everyone in it.
You know, the Piley on, Dwight McNeil's going full Jurgen Klinsmann heading towards the corner flag there. Beto with that big shirt so people can grab him. People in the crowd can even grab him. It's that baggy. And it's a Piley on for Dobbin. And that's, I mean, Ped, being in the ground, seeing a lad coming through the academy, coming on and getting an absolutely key goal.
Yeah.
That's what Goodison's about, and it was unbelievable, wasn't it?
I had no idea it was him till he put it on the board, I must admit. My eyes
Yeah,
are done, mate.
that's okay.
I've told you, my eyes are finished.
Yeah, okay.
I need surgery.
XC on the eyes.
I just seen it at the back of the
But
net.
it's great, isn't it, for that?
And then when I seen it was him, I was like, yes, that's perfect. Because it is perfect for every reason we've just mentioned there. The manager probably set him a challenge and said, do you want to sit on the bench all your life, or do you want to go and affect the game? You will get an opportunity when Christmas comes. You'll get an opportunity.
To be fair to Dyche, he talked Dobbin up all pre-season, didn't he? And he kept, I know a couple of clubs want Dobbin. A couple of clubs wanted to take him on loan, and he wanted them to stay.
He was involved in the first couple of games, and as a player, that must have...
Well, he made his debut against Wolves, didn't he?
That must have excited him, wasn't it? You're thinking, I'm going to get an opportunity. And then that all dries up. And the manager, you have to trust the manager then, or this manager can speak to you every day saying this and that and the other. You'll get a chance, and there will be a plan. And I imagine with the squad our size, there will be a plan for these players. You will get a chance. You know, certainly for him, and maybe like, you know, some of the other kids who go on the bench, I'm not so sure. But for him, he will have, you know, go and play under 21s games, get yourself playing, get yourself scoring, give me a reason. And like you've just said there, you've got that choice. Dan Juma's sitting there, and you're thinking, is he really going to go on and run his arse off? Fellow who's already been on loan in another Premier League club comes on loan at us. After a while, you have to trust the manager, don't you? You have to look at the situation and go, there's clearly something not right there. He does not train hard or whatever it is. He does not do what's that.
Doesn't fit the team.
He just comes into training, does what he needs to do and goes home, whatever it is. And the manager's like, I'm looking for that little bit more. You know, you mentioned the other week about playing him in under 21s games or whatever. What if he's gone to him and said, do you want to play in this under 21s games? He's just gone, no. Do you know what I mean? The manager's like, straight away, the manager's like, you're not for me, mate.
See, I would, if I was him, I would just, because what Dobbin has shown there, he's got a couple of goals in that 21s over the last few weeks. He's set a couple up. It doesn't matter what the level is, if it's a short space of time, if it's just, but what it'll have done is, it's just got its attitude, it's a little bit of fitness, and it's also confidence. Nothing like putting the ball in the back of the net, nothing. And he scored a couple lately. He's come on in the very next game at Goodison that he got on. And he struck the ball in the net, Jack, and what a moment for us to get. And the other thing I think is key, we saw this, I mentioned this the other day, we saw it at Brentford. We brought Dom on, he scored. He brought Beto on the other night, he killed the game off the third, and he's brought Dobbin on, and he's got on the score sheet. And when your players can come on and affect it like that, all attacking players, gives the rest of the squad, as well as the fans, that belief that something can happen when you come on the pitch.
Not only that, the last two home games, I think we've seen the at the time go up and been like, oh, God, and then we scored in both of them. So you know, it just shows that
belief that we keep going as well.
Yeah, it'd stay dangerous, but massive for Dobbin. And look, he might have got himself future opportunities in this Everton team without even scoring. He's come on, he's did the defensive work, he's clearly been brought on to do. One of the reasons he was probably on the edge of the box was so he could get back out to that right-hand side quickly if he needed to and give that cover. Instead, the ball...
Or he just hadn't read the instructions and didn't know where to go.
But that's too often. How many games have we watched Everton, though, where the corner's coming and got headed to that area and we don't have anyone? And they just hooked it clear or whatever.
So again, that's learning from our mistakes and adapting, and Dobbin's the one there for it to fall to, and look, he strikes it really well. It's the right place to put it, because you're seeing on the stills, I think half the pitch was over on the keeper's left, so he has one place he can put it. He strikes it well, it's the back of the net, and then you see the let-off at the end, like they're all buzzing for him.
It's mate, being in the ground when that went in, the noise was tremendous, because it was that moment where you just sort of went, even though with Everton, you just, because all might, again, this is just Everton in me, Newcastle destroyed me the other year with those 2 goals. I was just thinking, like, get through the next 90 seconds without conceding, and then we'll be able to manage it. And listen, we did. We were.
Chelsea must think we've got like an incredible centre forward
production line.
Must the Ella Sims last year? Yeah. And now
we've had Dom, who scored against them in the past, and obviously Anthony Gordon's come on and done well against them. So it was a brilliant moment for him. Delighted for the kid. Brilliant in that. He put the thing up dreams, dude. First Premier League goal and everything else that goes with that. Now you become a Premier League footballer. All of a sudden, you've scored a goal. He's made his full debut this season for us as well. And if you're him, you should be feeling confident. The manager's kept you around the squad. You've got on, you've scored a goal.
Build on it, hasn't he?
Now we've got more games.
And also, though, fans have to, like, just keep leaving him alone in a way. Just not expect, not do. Yeah, just like he's bonus, he's just a name on the bench. And if the manager puts him on, he puts him on. Don't be like, I don't really want to hear, oh, why hasn't he put Dobbin on or anything like that?
Seeing people yesterday, he's like, he can be like Wayne Rooney. Wayne Rooney was once in a generation. Unbelievable. But what he can be, Lewis Dobbin, is why can't he be another Anthony Gordon who is like a work rate on that wing, get wide and make things happen. But you've got to force your way into that team.
But I don't think he has to be anyone in particular in this squad.
No,
he just needs to be a good pair of hands that this season in our small squads we know we can bring on, and he'll do the hard yards as necessary. And look, next year we make more signings and we see what happens. His role in the squad might change, but right now, short term, that's what he needs to be. And I think he's definitely got himself into Dyche's good books now.
He's got himself into everyone's good books, hasn't he? We mentioned before Jordan Pickford becoming, 3 clean sheets in a week and getting as many as anyone else from the league. This was his stuff from yesterday. Have a look at it. It's 47 touches, 4 saves, goals prevented 0.8. Completed 11 out of 29 long balls. Is that one high claim, Ned? Yeah, one high claim. His heat map is, it's interesting seeing him on the halfway line, but they'll be taking the free kicks. And another player who we were waxing lyrical over, Vitaly Michalenko. Let's have a look at his 50 touches, 6 clearances, 7 tackles, won 9 out of 14 of his duels, 2 block shots. He also did set Dwight McNeil away for his part in the first goal as well. And we could keep going on about Michalenko. He's been brilliant, and in part of that back four, and the game finished with the back four I would like to see develop, with Patterson obviously at right back and him at left back, and those two in the middle. But brilliant from Michalenko, and long may his great form continue. Let's have a look at the overall match stats. 9 shots from Everton, 10 from Chelsea, 5 on target for the Blues, 4 for Chelsea, 2 big chances for Everton, but none for Chelsea. 28% possession. A little bit less. We were a bit tired, so we just said, you have a bit more of the ball, lads.
That's all they came down to.
We'll get the most important stat, which is the 2-0. And I think, listen, no one should be really surprised with that result, because Everton have lost once, I think, in the last 7 years against Chelsea, Goodison, and that was the penalty last year on the opening day. Other than that, our record against them is very good at Goodison. We do quite well against them. And like I said before, for all of the money they've spent going into that game, Everton were ahead of them in the league if they wouldn't have had the points deduction. So, we'd now be 4 points clear of them. But like Sean Dyche said, please stop reminding us. But there you go, it is what it is. A brilliant win for Everton. And now, lads, on to Burnley, which will be another very, very tough game. Obviously, no Garner and no Branthwaite, which will stretch us, but hopefully we can just...
Got to keep doing the same things. They're going to have a lot of the ball, aren't they? The way they like to play, they're going to have a lot of the ball. They'll be buoyed that the last game they won 5-0 home. We've just got to go in with the same attitude. Respect them, know that they're going to have a lot of the ball. They do create opportunities, they just don't always take them, and make sure we don't have an off day, because on an off day, Burnley can beat us. Yeah. Let's make sure we don't have an off day, and also put those other things to bed. If Michael Keane comes in, who, funny enough, wasn't even on the bench, was he?
No.
If he comes in,
have a great game.
If he has a good game, then you go, right, well, you're not always worried about, or you don't want Branthwaite to be out the team, but you know that there's a player there can just come in and. Yeah, it's not an easy game. Of course, it's not an easy game, but it'd be nice if we could go there and get another victory, because it's one of those where you are playing a team they are rounders, aren't they? Whether we like it or not, they are.
No, they are.
And we have to go. We win this today.
Daylight,
then we're creating that daylight, and the only way we're going is up.
Jack, is it a case of, listen, absolutely, Everton should be going to win the game, there's no question about it. These concede a lot of goals, they give you a lot of chances, as dangerous as they can be as well. Is it a case for you, though, of, well, if we can't win it, don't lose it?
Yeah, definitely, because we've got our buffer over them already. So the last thing we want to do is give that up and let them gain some ground on us. The most important thing is just don't lose to them.
Yeah.
Obviously, it'd be nice if we beat them, and I think we can beat them.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think as well, even if we do come up short, you know, we need to look at the context of what might happen in that game, missing key players as well, and. You know, look at the performances we've had this week and know this team is capable and, you know, worst comes to worst and we do lose, try and avoid panic stations as well, because this team is very capable. They work very hard and, you know, doesn't worry about the home form. That looks to be sorted now so that we can gain points at home and away from home.
We've only got Man City at home next in the league, so it's fine. I think you're both right. I think if we could win, then that will put we're already 5 ahead of Burnley, aren't we? We'd be 8 points ahead, and that's a lot for them to make back up. So that would make everyone feel tremendous, wouldn't it? With that, but if we were to get out with a draw and go right, okay, I think you're absolutely right anyway, because you'd look and go, well, that's 10 points in the last 12, which is a brilliant return following that United game.
Yeah.
But we still should be going there because we're on. Let's be honest, we're on 23 points. So we will be going to Burnley, going win this because we're chasing Europe. That sort of has to be the attitude, I think. Yeah. You're right. The two big changes, Brantwaite to be a big one, but Onana should be back in for Guy. So that should make us nice and solid there. So yeah, listen, let's just go and win because it's nice when you win games.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think in the comments section below. We are carrying on Toffee TV Premier now. If you want to become a Premier member, the link is in the description. Let us know in the comments what you think. Thumbs up if you like the vid and subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for watching. See you later.